Hello, Afaf.
Hi.
Thank you for your email last week. That was very sweet of you.
Oh, no worries. We missed you at the open house.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear how it went. I need to sort of, I'll follow up with you. Deidre, hello.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So for everybody who's joining, I'll just let you know that I have already started the recording. So Nathan and Amira, the producer, hello Soleil, you will have a little bit at the beginning of me talking. So I apologize in admitting everybody. Okay. Who's doing our intro for this one? Is it you, Soleil?
No, I am.
You are. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. And the outro?
I'm the outro.
Okay, great. So Afaf, I'll let you take over. And who's our producer? You're the producer as well, correct?
No, I am.
Amira. Amira, hi. Okay, hi. So Amira, since you're the producer, what I'll do is I'll let you welcome and then you can turn it over to Afaf, who's going to do the intro, who turns it to Nathan.
All right.
And I'm sorry we didn't get Nav to do that last time. All right. And I know that Yin will have just been in another workshop. So she's been on Zoom since noon. So maybe Amira, when you welcome her, you might, oh, do you have a camera, Amira? Is it possible for your camera to be on?
Oh, yeah, I can turn it on. Hold on.
Great, thanks. It's just easier when someone's, so if you just, when you welcome Yin, Amira, you might want to acknowledge that she has been Zooming since noon. So we're right at 4 o'clock. And as I mentioned, she did go noon till 4 in a workshop. And so she might just be a few minutes late. I'm just double checking to make sure I haven't missed her. And just Maggie had sent me an email asking about where the Dropbox was for interview notes. Maggie, were you able to share that with everybody? Yes, okay. Okay, here comes Yin. And so Amira, I'll let you welcome Yin and acknowledge how long she's been on Zoom. And then you'll throw it to Afaf, who's doing the intro, who throws it to Nathan, who does the interview questions. Here we go. Have fun.
Hello, Yin, are you there? Oh, hello, Yin. I think your mic is muted.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. Hello, Yin. We are so happy you could join us. I understand you've been on Zoom since noon and doing workshops, but I'm glad you could come and join us. So I'd like to introduce you to us, Nathan, Afaf, Deidre, Soleil, and I'm Amira. We're going to be the ones conducting this interview for you today. And I'd like to pass it off to Afaf, who will introduce this to you.
Hi, Yin. I'd like to give a warm welcome to you. For those of us who don't know, Yin Brown is on the board of directors at Ontario Council for International Cooperation, and since 2012 has been a member of the Toronto Disability Access and Inclusion Advisory Committee. She's the project coordinator for the Disabled Women's Network in Toronto and an advocate for the inclusion of people with disabilities, especially the blind and partially sighted. So in 2016, Brown directed a short film called About Employment in collaboration with TVO Docs, which was awarded the first prize for the Short Docs contest in 2016. The film featured Brown, her job search, and the issues of employment for people who are blind in Canada. We are so excited to hear about your experiences, Yin, and the work that you do. I'm going to pass it over to Nathan now, who has a couple questions for you.
Can I just interrupt here? You probably got that off of my LinkedIn or somewhere. So I am not currently on the board of directors at OCIC. I have done those things before. I have won that prize, but you mentioned Brown. So I think you meant Yin, right? Yin is my first name. Brown is my last name. So if this is going to be part of the video, I think you need to kind of rephrase that a little bit. My current position is the director for okay, let's just say that again, Director for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility at Ability Center. That's my current role. The ones that you mentioned are in the past. I am still an advocate for disability inclusion. So if that helps, I just didn't want this to be part of the video that's going out because it would be outdated.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. We apologize.
If you want me to give you, provide you with a more current bio, I can do that. Probably can't get it to you right away, but by Monday, Tuesday for sure. Yeah.
We would love that. Thank you. Apologies again.
Okay.
Yin?
Yes.
Hi, it's Nathan. I emailed you earlier. We only have about an email of communication between each other.
Yes, yes,
But,
I recognize your name.
Just from that email, I'd like to know, from your perspective, how can the disabled community in Durham be better represented?
I think very similar to all the other marginalized communities, such as racialized, 2S LGBTQ, indigenous population groups, and of course, new immigrants. Oftentimes we are excluded just because, well, traditionally, we are, perhaps people don't see us as part of the mainstream. So yes, we, people with disabilities, like to be included, just as anybody else. We want to be part of any organization's workforce. So are we represented in the workforce, either as frontline staff or management, or even in senior leadership? You know, oftentimes I see people with disabilities, we're sort of part of the volunteer group, right? But we want to be paid. We want to have a career. Also, are we part of the, let's say, the customer base? You know, our organizations that have programs and services, are they reaching out to make sure that people with disabilities are part of their programs, are being reached with their services? We are a very valid customer base, and we like to spend our money. So, and not only that, we have families and friends. So together we do make up a large portion of the economic sort of force. So the other thing is that oftentimes, if we are not yet part of the workforce or of the customer base, then if you say, okay, an organization that we would like to learn, we like to reach out, we like to really learn how to reach out and include people with disabilities, how do we do that? Well, maybe when you set up advisory committees, which the municipality of region of Durham, they have, and actually every municipality is mandated to have an accessibility advisory committee. So make sure that people with different disabilities are well represented, you know, whether it's visible disabilities such as, you know, a wheelchair user, or invisible, you know, blind people or deaf people. Sometimes you don't even realize that they have a disability because they just don't show it as much, or people with learning disabilities or mental health, right? So just making sure that we're very much part of the advisory committee, and that our recommendations are heard and being acted on. So, and the last way I like to say is that in the sort of media, right? We are learning how to be more diverse in our media portrayal. And we like to say, hey, are we part of your marketing? Are we part of your campaign imagery, right? Do you, if you can't show somebody with a disability as clearly, then do you at least use some of the icons that represents disability? So I think these are very practical ways and meaningful ways to include people with disabilities, or at least include us in the representation.
So now you say, with your role with the Ability Center, how is the Ability Center doing its part to make Durham more inclusive?
Okay, this is where I have to go to my notes because I am I don't get involved with all these programs, so I have to get to my notes. Just a minute. Okay.
Take your time, it's okay.
So at the center, Ability Center, we offer quite a range of accessible and inclusive programming. So for example, Thrive, which is an adult program. An adult program for people who have, you know, finished with their high school, but maybe they're not employed yet. What do? They still need to develop their social skills, make that community connection. So that's also another program we call Pathways. So Pathways focuses on building that community connection. We also have youth and kids programs. They're called by different names like You, Me, We. There's that employability program, of course, helping people to not only sort of build their job readiness, but also to access some paid internships. What else? We also, of course, a lot of our programs, we also like to build them on partnerships and collaborations with other organizations. So,
What other
for example,
organizations?
yeah, I'm gonna get to that. We have a therapeutic recreation program. It's really running strong with the DDSB, Durham District School Board. And we like to expand that. We have, we facilitate LEAD stands, LEAD, L-E-A-D stands for Leading Equitable and Accessible Delivery. So that's a program that I'm actually very much involved in which we facilitate a sort of a process. I wouldn't call it a training, but a process in which municipalities sort of assess their own level of accessibility inclusion. So that's really going well. We have connected with several municipalities and in the process of doing LEAD with them. What else? We're also working with the region of Durham on our parasport programming. Yeah, these are just some primary examples of our programming. And then as you may have heard that some of our programs are done at the center. Of course, due to COVID, we are delivering some of our programs virtually, such as the You, Me, We program for children and youth. The LEAD program that I participate in is very much a virtual program so far. So we have, again, not just center focus, not just at our physical facility, but also, going province and nationwide.
That's amazing.
Trying to influence the community to be more accessible and inclusive of people with disabilities.
That's amazing. Now, I did a little bit of research, and one program you have called ASAD helps with the development of student athletes. Can you tell me a little bit about that? How does that work?
Oh, I hope I give it justice. I think that's the one that we collaborate with the school board. So students with disabilities or due to other barriers, it could be financial, other barriers where they have, in progressing in their professional athletic career, like whether they want to be a professional sports person, athlete, or they want to be a coach or in some capacity, they want to develop their profession in sports. And yet, due to their disability or low income status of their family or whatnot, they can't do it. So we provide this, and I'm not sure where the funding comes from, but in collaboration with the school board and with the Durham region of Durham. So they come, and part of their sort of training is with us. So we train them on aspects of this professional development, and it's very much focused on becoming a professional in the sports sector. In detail, I'll have to refer you to speak to our program lead on that, but that's as far as I understand, it's very much focused on people who want to develop their professional career in sports.
That's amazing. Yeah. Now, I've been to the Ability Center multiple times. My last question for you, how can the Ability Center be a model for all facilities to model themselves after in terms of, inclusion and the access for the disabled?
We like to say we're a model, and I think we are still a model, but also I want to be to say that anybody who's going to be a model has to model humility, in the sense that we're not perfect, by any means. Even though back in 2012 we were built as the state-of-the-art, most accessible, center for sports and recreation, almost 10 years ago now. We have all the sort of your typical physical accessibility features, ramps, elevators with tactile buttons and accessible washrooms. All our equipments are accessible for people to use, those with physical disabilities. But then over the years, we realized, hey, we have to also enhance accessibility for those with sensory, maybe cognitive, intellectual disabilities, so that how do we make our facility even more accessible for people such as myself, who's blind, for a deaf person, and for people who may not, like we even learn, we have to make sure all our communications are more plain language, right? For people who just, and most of us, we're not like complicated terminologies are just not going to be very useful. So I think we have been learning even in our sort of past 20 years, 10 years, I mean, to say that we want to be a model in that we want to show people that accessibility and inclusion is not just, we've arrived, this is the standard, we got it, but it's part of it. It's a journey. Constantly things are changing. We're discovering more and more differences even in the disability community. So even though maybe one accommodation or one modification, if you want to call it, worked 5 years ago, maybe today it has to be changed again. So we are on a journey, and we like to model that by saying and indicating to all our partners and the wider community that keep learning, right? Don't sit on our laurels and say we've made it, but if we think that our abilities, our facilities are accessible, how do we make sure that the upgrades and how are still also accessible and maintain even the accessible washrooms? And one thing I do want to show, really point out, is that with COVID, we also learned that the importance of digital accessibility. People are not just participating by coming into the center, but how do we access the programs virtually? And that's why our sort of digital accessibility has become more and more important. We're looking at it. We're not perfect in that area. And we are also sort of modeling this attitude, if you want to call it that. Keep looking at your documents, looking at your website, looking at the applications that you use, the software that you buy. Are they truly accessible, especially for people who are blind like me, or people who have dexterity issues, they can't use the keyboard, right? Or who can't just navigate the complex, complicated websites. So all to say, we want to model that attitude. If I can say, we want to say we're doing really well in certain physical accessibility standards and digital accessibility standards, but we're not perfect. And we like to learn from any other organizations that are doing well and learn from them and continue to share these excellent best practices.
That's amazing.
Sorry,
Awesome.
I'm rattling on a bit.
Okay, that's okay. I think I can hand you off to my outro Soleil to finish things off. Thank you very much for answering all my questions. You were amazing.
I hope you can edit some parts where I
it's perfect. It's perfect. Don't worry. So Soleil, if you're ready.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Nathan, for asking those questions and conducting the interview. And thank you so much, Yin Brown, for answering those questions and for taking the time to speak with us today. All the information you've provided will go a long way in our project for equity, diversity, and inclusion in Durham region.
May I ask how you are collating all the video clips that you have, and how are you sharing it when it's all ready to go? Like, yeah, what's next steps, or what's the final product gonna look like?
Well, currently right now, we'll be writing a story based off of the interview we've had with you today. And each group has different interviewees. So I know my group here with myself, Nathan, Fahaf, Amira, and all of us. we'll all be writing separate individual stories on the information you've provided us today on ways to improve equity, diversity, and inclusion in Durham region.
Oh, so you're not producing any video clips per se?
I don't think so, no. I think it's a written story.
Yes.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I don't have to worry about, you know, stuff on my shirt or between my teeth.
Oh, no.
And for the record, you look lovely.
Here I am. I brushed my hair for no reason. No, just kidding. Okay, thank you so much for your interest in disability inclusion. It's really important, and I bet you know people with disabilities, or you know, with family or relatives, friends, and I hope that you will also advocate for disability inclusion yourself through your writing, not just a school project, but beyond, of course, in your life, various life experiences. Thank you again for the opportunity. Did you want me to send you a revised bio, or you're okay with just what I said?
I'm sure if you have the time, a revised bio would be greatly appreciated from all of us.
Okay, should I send it to, like, so far I don't know. I think I've got Nathan, your email, and Teresa's email. I don't know if I have the rest of your emails. So who should I send it to?
I'm sure you could just send it to Nathan and then he could
Okay.
forward it to the rest of us.
I can forward it to everyone that's meeting.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
just so that you know, we're not saying I'm still on the board of something and they'll complain. Says,
Yeah.
no, she's not. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, bye.
Bye. Amazing team. So